Hey guys, today I'm going to be showing you how to replace your original screw-in trim arm with a push-in style Floyd Rose trim arm. The benefits to have a push-in over a original screw-in, and for me personally, is that these can kind of wear over time and get loose. You also don't really have a lot of control on the tension. It's either like tight or it's not. And over time it could come loose, or in the middle of, when you're playing on stage, it can just come loose and you're trying to screw it on. It's super annoying. So what I like about these is that, I'll try to get close to the camera, you have a Allen key where you can adjust the tension on this so you can get it absolutely perfect, and it's always going to stay like that. And obviously the other benefit is that you can just push it in and it's like that. So a couple other things while I'm going to do that today that I'm going to show you. You don't really need a whole lot. Now there's a couple other things that I'm going to do. Like I said, when I'm going to replace the arm, I'm going to just do some regular maintenance, graphite lube just on the mounting holes here and the knife edge on your bridge, just for some lubricant, so it's good. And for my springs, I'm going to be putting some of these on. This is just heat shrinking tubing. It stops any extra resonance or anything going on there when you're playing and you come to a stop. Sometimes it can come through a little bit, and that just keeps it silent. So I'll go over that in a little bit. All you got to do at first is pretty straightforward. Just take your strings off. Now, I have a proper trem block on the way. But the thing is, I figured a lot of you probably don't have that, or you're looking for something around the house to hold your trem in place while you're doing this. Another thing is, depending on your guitar, like my ESP, it actually has room in the body that I didn't even have to take off the bridge to put on a trem arm. It had enough space in the cavity of the guitar that I could actually just have a long bolt and just unscrew it and screw it in without having to even take the bridge off, which was really nice. But on this Jackson that I have here, this is kind of my backup guitar now, you can't get at it. If you see in the body, like, there's no way you can do it while it's on. So you're gonna have to take it off. But that's not too big of a deal, because you're gonna replace your strings anyways or whatever. So first things first, if you have a back plate, it works perfect to stop your bridge from pulling back when you take your strings off the guitar. You're just going to hold your bar down and slide that in when your strings are on, and as you take them off, that's just actually going to keep in place just how it is. It's not going to go anywhere as long as you're gentle with that. So the first thing I'm going to do to dismantle this is we're going to flip her over. I'm going to start with our middle spring. I'm just going to pull it off, pull it up. There's a tool you can get for this. I don't really think it's necessary. It's not that hard to, unless you're like super weak or something and you can't pull them. Just going to pull them up. 1, 2. Three. That third one's a little bit hard to get just because you have a lot of tension on the bridge. All right, now your bridge is just gonna fall off. So, as you can see here, you have a little Allen key, and that's what actually holds the original one in. So all we're going to do is we're just going to dismantle that by loosening it. This. We're just going to take that off. Okay, that's just one piece. There, I'm going to set that aside. Now, this is the part where people are like, oh shit, what did I do? All you actually have to do is tap it with like a little mallet or something that's not super hard metal or anything. This will actually just pop off, okay? So I'm actually just gonna move my guitar out of the way here so we can do this. So I'm just just going to use the back end of a ratchet to do this here. Okay, we're just going 1, 2, 3. It's out. There you go. That comes out with the old arm. Move that out of the way. Now, your pushing style arm is going to come with this thread right here. So what we're going to do, I'm going to go ahead and I'll just take the bar out. And we're going to go and we're going to push this in. Now, here's the thing to remember when you put it in. Make sure that your Allen key is facing out, because if it's not, then you might end up putting this in, and when you screw it in, you're like, oh no, like I can't tighten my arm now because it's touching the saddle or whatever. So, gotta make sure that's like out as well as you can put it, like that. That. Okay. Now we're just gonna put that screw back on like this. And this is a 12, please. Okay, and we're going to go on, we're just going to tighten that on. I'm just going to do it slowly so you're not forcing anything together. Now you want to make it snug, but you don't want to obviously make it too snug like with anything that's metal. You just want to make sure that it's, okay, there, it stopped. Okay, so that's not going anywhere. Okay, so now that I have that on, I'm actually going to go and put this heat shrink tubing on my springs. And then I will be back. Alright guys, so I'm back. Got my heat shrink tubing on my spring. All you have to do is cut a little piece on each end. And that's enough to stop any resonance from happening, and then hit it with a lighter or a torch or whatever. And it will shrink right up, let it cool down, and you're good to go. So while the bridge is off, what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some powdered graphite metal lubricant on the mounting posts and where the knife edges meet. I like graphite just because it's not greasy, it's not getting any gunk on your guitar, or you have a piece of clothing go down and you get a grease spot on it or something like that. And this is what that's made for, right? It's contact for like putting keys and locks and stuff. So that keeps everything from moving smooth. Over time, you can get a little wear and tear on your knife edges like that, and I actually already have that here. And you can kind of see where that's worn away a little bit on each side. That's pretty damn common. So what you're going to do is, I actually just took a little plate and I took a toothpick just so I didn't blow it everywhere. I'm just going to get a bunch on the end of the toothpick and get a little bit on those edges like that. What you really want is have it on those mounting posts where it goes around. It's kind of hard to apply it there in the knife edge, but I like graphite. It just doesn't really make a mess, and then you just blow off the remainder and that's it. I'm gonna go ahead and put a little on the mounting posts. The reason I go about doing it this way is, and a lot of people for some reason would unscrew their mounting posts and then take the bridge off. I don't really know why, but you'd have to find where your action is again. That would take you hours, and I just don't think that's the best way to do it. So we're just gonna go ahead and blow a little of that on like that. I'll take a little bit more with the toothpick. And you want to just go around right where that sharp edge right in there meets contact point with the knife edge. Just like so. And you can be generous with it. It really doesn't matter. All right. So now we're going to put a bridge back on. So this is actually not that hard. All you have to do is hold her in place with one hand. And you just flip over the guitar. And all you have to do is just put your middle spring in first. Okay? Like this. We're going to just hold that bridge in place. Middle spring's in, then done. Flip back over and still in place. Now, I'm going to take my back plate again. This is really a good way to hold your bridge in place. And then that's back in. Another thing that you can do that I recommend is angling your springs. The reason that people do this is so there's nothing touching the actual body of the guitar. So you don't want that touching that and hitting that, or you don't want any contact. So that's the whole point why people will angle out their springs when you see that. Usually it's from the outer edge and you're going to angle it up to the claw like that. There's a tool that you can use to pull the springs. I just use my hand and I pull it. But you could just use a little hook if you wanted to. So we didn't have to do anything by adjusting the claw. We didn't have to do anything adjusting the mounting posts. Your bridge is back in place. So all you would do now is put your strings back on and you're good to go. Another good thing about it is that having this plate here, real easy to do this. You're not really holding down the arm while that's holding your trem in place. So, find my arm. That's how easy it is. Now you're good to go. And like I said, you can adjust the tension by that Allen key on the end there. You need a smaller one than this, obviously, but it will come with, like, you know, if you have guitar tools, it'll be like that guy or whatever, your small one. And that's almost perfect how it is. So I'm gonna restring it up and be back. There you have it, guys. So that's all done. Restring the guitar and your bridge will pretty much be exactly where you left it. There's my push and style bar. Comes out perfectly, goes in, stays in place almost perfectly now. I didn't even have to adjust it. Just a couple other things I was going to say is that, well, the biggest thing is that having a trem block or even using your back plate spring cover for your guitar is that it's great to have when you change your strings, because you can actually just slide it under like that. You're not constantly holding the bar down. I know some people like to do one string at a time, but if you're doing it like me, where I just put the ball end down there and I threw all the strings down, I just chopped them, put them in, you can actually just have this elevated and tighten everything and tune it up and you're good to go. So this is actually really useful, this little plastic black back plate. And you can see the springs are on there, so it's really dead in that sound there. Same with the elastics down at the end of the headstock for the same reason. So here you have it, guys.